Hello, my name is Lydia Griffin, and you are watching my interpersonal communication presentation for Liberty University. Next slide. During this presentation, I will be defining communication, interpersonal communication, identity, inhaling and exhaling, listening and enlarging my conversation, define my potential barriers in interpersonal context and how I'm going to deal with them, identify and provide solutions for noise pollution both internally and externally, identify my overarching goal, describe how my behavioral blends positively or negatively influence my conversation, and discuss my plan of action. Next slide. What is communication? Stewart describes this as the continuous, complex, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. What is interpersonal communication? It's the kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. Next slide. Why do we communicate? Humans are relational beings, and therefore when we communicate, we are identifying who we are with and for each other. What's an identity? An identity is a complex personal and social construct consisting in part of who we think ourselves to be, how we wish others to perceive us, and how they actually perceive us. There are 4 characteristics of identities. They're multidimensional, selves as responders, identities which are developed in our past and present relationships, avowals, and described. How do we communicate? We do this metaphorically through a process of inhaling and exhaling. This breaks down and organizes the continuous changing, multidimensional, sometimes confusing process of communication. Like breathing, it puts communication into a process which starts with input. Our perception is developed by social and cognitive processes in which people assign meaning to what they see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. It's shaped by our experiences and understanding of our place in the world, and it occurs in 3 basic processes: selection, organization, and inference. All 3 of these happen simultaneously. In exhaling, we give out information by expressing our thoughts and feelings and being open to others by disclosing and asking for what we want. One of these processes in openness depends on 3 things: self-awareness, self-acceptance, and trust. In self-disclosure, you reveal to the other person how you perceive and react to present situations and give information about yourself, your past that is relevant to the present. Some benefits of disclosure are that it increases your self-awareness and it provides freeing experiences, helping you to control challenging situations, and it also helps manage stress and adversity. Listening. Do you hear what I hear? The role of listening involves more than just hearing. It requires discipline and energy. Listening is active, not passive. According to Burley Allen, true listening builds teamwork, trust, and a sense of belonging to a group and reduces stress and tension. Next slide. Active listening allows the person to talk through their issues and enables you to have empathetic input. There are 3 levels of listening: empathetic listening, hearing words but not really listening, listening in spurts. Some of my internal barriers in listening are defensive listening, hearing what I want to hear, biased listening, emotional listening, physical barriers, semantic barriers, and my favorite, the interrupter. Some of my external barriers include loud noises, changes in temperature, mannerisms, appearances, phone calls, clock watching, doodling, chewing gum, certain color palettes, and body language. Additional barriers in communications are what Peterson calls the flat brain theory of emotion. In this, it teaches us that our thoughts and emotions are both a part of who we are and how we communicate. how we respond will either be emotional or rational. In the flat brain syndrome, we don't hear well, see accurately, think straight, or act sensibly. Lastly, in the flat brain tango, engaging in defensive or attacking behavior with others apply. However, how do we counteract these barriers? Through the talker-listener card. In this, the talker says, "I'm most bothered. I own the problem." They share their feelings and thoughts without accusing, attacking, labeling, or judging. The listener says, "I'm calm enough to hear. I don't own the problem. I'm going to provide safety. I'm going to understand and clarify without agreeing, disagreeing, advising, or defending." My overarching goal includes utilizing effective listening skills with empathetic listening to reduce my stress level and tension when communicating with others, and take my level 3 listening skills to a level 1. Removing the barrier of being closed to being open in communicating about myself with others. The EMC equation, enlarging my conversation, involves identifying my interpersonal communication need, such as being open and self-disclosing, and providing the intentional resources I will need, such as self-awareness and acceptance and trust, that will allow me to be open and willing to share information about myself. My behavioral blend and background. In graph 1, this is expected of me. People expect me to be both determined and inspirational. They expect me to both be task and people-oriented. However, in graph 2, this is me. I have strong people skills. I am both outgoing and reserved. And however, sometimes I'm misunderstood with my critical and fault-finding attitude. My type A personality results in achievement, striving, and sometimes being impatient and irritable. My interpersonal communication results in insightfulness. I fairly understand empathy as an integral part of good communication, and I sometimes tend to pay attention to the message I'm sending, but not how it's received. My plan of action consists of understanding that communication is complicated and continuous. My role of how I respond in this process will determine its outcome and potentiality to build better relationships, being effective as a communicator, and understanding the makeup of the 4 personalities. How I communicate is shaped by my beliefs, value system, education, and my perception of the world.